On the last episode of Come On Amanda, Amanda and her two young sons, George and Tom, were permanently kicked out of the mansion they had been living in by Amanda's ex-boyfriend, Bruce Rowland. Now they must start a new life in a new home. So welcome to episode 8 of Come On Amanda. Unfortunately, Amanda could not afford too much after living with Bruce for so long. She didn't have much money in her own name, so she moved into this quiet little house that they were selling in the neighborhood. Yes, there's very little room for everybody, and the kitchen, the family room, and the place where the baby must sleep are all crammed into a few squares. Of course, Tom, being as young as he is, doesn't fully understand the situation. He doesn't understand why they're there and not the mansion. And he asks his mom this. And Amanda doesn't even really know how to explain it, but she tells George that he has to accept this as their new home. And the most important thing is that they have each other, not luxury and money. George, of course, doesn't fully comprehend that, but he will get used to it eventually, because young kids are very adaptable. Poor baby has to try to sleep with all the noise of the TV as they watch the Yummy channel. George getting his first ever skill point for cooking. It's off to a good start. Yes, it's a very small house, but Amanda wants to call over Norm. Now, without Bruce jealously prowling the mansion, Amanda's free to see whoever she likes whenever she likes. Yes, so father and son can see each other once again. Amanda really thinks it's a good idea that Norm and George get to know each other as much as possible. It was only recently that they found out they were father and son at all, and now there's some catching up to do. Yes, Amanda must feel guilty for not finding this out sooner. She probably could have found out at the very beginning, but there was so much pressure to stay on the mansion. Now, they sit down for a bite to eat, but several neighbors have arrived. So, it's time to say hello. Yes, it's a very nice thing that a few neighbors have decided to welcome Amanda to her new home. Some of these people were people she had met before, and some of them were not, including that stranger with the beard and the long coat. And Amanda is very much turned on by this guy. She thinks he's very attractive. But she comes back to join Norm and her son eating grilled cheese sandwiches. Grilled cheese. So yummy. But they're having a good time as not truly as a family, in the related sense, of course, but, maybe not in the functional sense. So, George decides to play with this new this new remote control car that Amanda got him. And of course, Amanda is very interested in talking to this tough-looking guy. She's very intrigued by him. And they begin the conversation as all the other guests filter their way into the house. Yeah, by now Amanda's story has undoubtedly circled around the neighborhood, and hopefully when somebody talks to Amanda. They know what they're getting themselves into by this point. But poor Tom tries to sleep as all these annoying people are standing around his bed watching the TV. It's so close to the couch that no one can sit on the left spot, so they're just standing around watching and chatting. But meanwhile, Amanda and this stranger continue to talk, having a good old time out there. Yes, he's a pretty recent resident of this neighborhood. I don't imagine he's lived there for very long. So, they continue their chat, talking about video games and such. And Amanda is really into it. And obviously very attracted. So, yep, she's putting the flirt on. That's right. We know how Amanda does. But pretty soon it's time for all the guests to go home. So, everyone says goodbye, and finally leaves the baby in peace, although they forget to turn off the TV, the rude people that they are. Well, of course, Tom needs food, so Amanda decides to feed him a bottle. George is at least somewhat conscious of his younger brother's needs, so he turns off the TV for them, which is a very nice thing. Yes, Amanda changes Tom's diaper and is about to put him back into bed so the baby can get his much needed rest. Yes, Amanda realizes she has to start spending more time with her kids. Meanwhile, George is calling his older cousin James, because the two of them have struck up a friendship, and he wants James to come over and see the new place. So here is James. I imagine James to be maybe about 4 or so years older than George. So you can bet that George looks up to James in a lot of ways. James really is the leader of the third generation, as young as it is. So the two of them strike up a lively conversation. Looks like they're talking about inheritance. Their inheritance money. Yes. It's already something that George understands. Money, that is, and the importance of it. So, before long, night falls. But the boys play tag around the house while Amanda plays with the remote control car, considering things. She's a little bit upset that she doesn't get to live in the great mansion anymore, but she thinks she can still have her fun. But anyway, Amanda wants to call Norm over once again. Without all the other guests around, she may be able to have a little bit of one-on-one time with him. Because despite being interested in the new tall stranger that has moved into town, Amanda has realized that she still has quite a lot of affection for Norm. And now that Bruce is no longer around to be in the way, she can spend as much time with Norm as she likes. So they make out passionately in front of the house as Puck arrives to tell James it's time for him to go to bed. But Amanda and Norm chat animatedly, very excited to get caught up on recent events. Yes. So, James is going home for the night, and it won't be too long before George should be going to bed. And by the way, it's only one more day until little Tom, becomes a toddler himself. So, Amanda decides to make some food for herself and Norm, because after all, she knows the way into a man's heart is through his stomach. Everybody knows that. And the phone is ringing. And George, just stepping out of the shower, will answer it. And it is Sue, his aunt. George's Aunt Sue is calling to see how he's doing, because she's very curious about the new house, and of course concerned for her sister and her nephews. So she wants to call to see if everything's all right. And she'd rather talk to George right now, probably because I imagine things are still a little bit strained between her and Amanda. After all, the Lincoln house was left to Sue and not Amanda. But anyway, it's time for George to be getting on to bed. So that's what he does. So now just Amanda and Norm, up watching TV. Norm asks Amanda if she knows who the father of Tom is, and Amanda says, "Well, I know it's not you, and I don't think it's Bruce." So, that only leaves a few options. But she has a hunch that she knows whose the baby is, but she doesn't want to make a thing out of it yet. There's enough drama in her life after all. So, tucking in little Tom to sleep peacefully through the night, or at least the portion of the night that a little baby will sleep through, she puts him in his crib while Norm enjoys some mac and cheese. And Amanda appreciates her own cooking, apparently. So, it's time to clean up. Yes, they have no maid right now, so it's important for Amanda to clean up after herself and her kids. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time once again. Yes, there's definitely a cozy feeling to this little house. And this cozy feeling has reactivated feelings in Amanda and Norm that they've had but haven't been able to express in a while. So, in Amanda's new little bedroom, things start to get intimate. Yes, all other thoughts, for the moment, are out of Amanda's mind, while she enjoys spending time with Norm. And she's really enjoying spending time with Norm. Oh yes. And of course we know where this has all been heading this whole time. I guess they decided not to show the woohoo animation because, well, for Amanda, it's already been seen plenty of times. Yes. Well, and that concludes the first day in the new house. So, hopefully it will be the start of a better future for Amanda. So, that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Join us again soon for some more fun stuff. Goodbye.